My beloveds, I'm kind of on a roll. Can we all place our hands on our hearts? And we're going to say I am blessed 3 times because it's such a powerful teaching. So let's say it together. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So it is. For no matter what is going on in our lives, we are blessed. We're even blessed to be going through the challenging experience because we are growing and it's all going to be all right at the end. Maybe in earthly life, but we never end because we are ageless, timeless beings. And what's so beautiful about the daily word for today is that it's foundational. It's getting back to basics. Do you know, my beloveds, if you were to say, I am blessed throughout your day without ceasing, that miracles would manifest. You probably wouldn't even have to sit down. I'm a big meditator. You probably wouldn't even have to sit in meditation. That would be a vibrational shift so powerful that everything in your life would begin to change. First, with your body temple, you would just rejuvenate the body of your affairs just by that statement. And that is a foundational knowing. That is a foundational consciousness that the Fillmores had when Myrtle began to bless her body. She healed. I had the greatest privilege of my life, a dream come true, of going to Unity Village at the beginning of August. And I was there with my beloved bestie and the doctor who saved my life at Unity Village. And what was so miraculous was to be in that consciousness of knowing the truth. Our message as a New Thought movement is so simple. The Fillmore's Myrtle, in her miraculous shift in consciousness that brought about a physical healing at a time where doctors were few and far between, was knowing that her body temple was blessed with health. That was it. The knowing of this truth. I am blessed, and it's foundational to who we are and whose we are. So the sermon is back to basics, the 10 spiritual principles for living a great life. I always feel as though this is really the true beginning of our new year. There's something about the fall with the end of summer, and I think having been a student for most of my life, and I think sometimes energetically, we kind of know this really feels like the beginning of the year. As I've told you many times, my beloved, the holidays, these traditional celebrations or global habits that we have, Christmas, Easter, Passover, Ramadan, the start of the year, the start of the new year. This is technology. Thank you, everyone, for being patient with it. These are energetic portals. So we as truth students no longer look at things from a superficial place. We recognize that in everything happening on the planet, there is an underlying spiritual principle that we are being challenged to recognize. In this election season, we are being challenged to recognize the oneness of humanity, peace in the midst of discord. That is the challenge. not jumping into it and arguing with people and allowing it to excite your nervous system and to be in a vibration of agitation through it all. But what is the principle underneath it? The spiritual principle, peace. How can I attune to peace in the midst of discord? This applies for anything that is happening in our lives or anything happening in the world. There is a spiritual principle underneath it that we, if we stay consciously aware with the third eye open, are supposed to tune into. So we are all new students right now. We are all beginning again. Every year as we go through the seasons and these holidays and these holidays and everything happening, portals for our growth. So as we find ourselves in the month of September, beloveds, we are drawn to the season of renewal and fresh starts. In the Western world, September marks the beginning of the academic year, a time when students return to the classroom, ready to learn, grow, and start anew. It's a time for restarting our focus, much like a spiritual back-to-school season, where we realign ourselves with our fundamental spiritual principles. So religiously, September, October is also a sacred month of reflection and renewal. In Judaism, the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, invite us to return to God, to examine our lives, to seek spiritual renewal. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is a time of introspection, a fresh start, a reminder of the divine potential that exists within each and every one of us. In the Christian tradition, the autumn season reminds us of the harvest, symbolizing the fruits of our spiritual labor and inviting us to reflect on what we have cultivated since the beginning of the year. So September, in this sense, is about returning to spiritual basics, resetting, renewing, and reconnecting with the divine. So as we embrace this season of new beginning and fresh starts, let us explore the 10 spiritual principles that help us to realign with the truth of who we are and whose we are. So the first principle is oneness with the divine. For in him we live, move, and have our being. Acts 17, verse 28. At the core of all spiritual teachings on the planet is the truth that we are not separate from the divine. In Hinduism, in Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, the major religions, and every other spiritual path reminds us that we are individualized expressions of God mind, connected to an infinite source of life. So September is a time of renewal, a powerful quantum field, as I call it, to remind us that we are never disconnected, no matter what the circumstances may be. So what is the life application? Start each day with an affirmation similar to this: I am one with the divine source. I am guided, guarded, protected, and empowered by the infinite. So as you face challenges, it's not just Martine going through cancer treatment. I'm one with the greatest power in the universe. That's why I stand before you alive, healed and whole, because by myself I do nothing. But through the power of God, mind within, I can do all things. So number one, always remember, you are one with the greatest power of the universe, and you can do all things through the God mind within that empowers you. Number two, oh, this is my favorite, the power of thought, because I've had crazy thinking in my life. As a man thinketh in, as a man and woman thinketh in their heart, so are they. Proverbs 23, verse 7. As we begin this new season, let us reflect on the power of our thoughts. September is a time to reset our mental landscape. Much like a student prepares their mind for their new lessons, for exams, for reading, you got to read up. You got to be prepared. Our thoughts are seeds that create a harvest in our lives. What we think, we bring about. Once again, we live in a world that would tell us this is crazy. In fact, when I look up New Thought, it's amazing. We're considered a cult. I did a paper on this. I thought that was something from the 70s, but when you look up science of mind, divine science churches, religious science, CSL, and unity, we are considered a thought. The Church of Oprah, they call it, where we don't worship God, but we say we're gods. So, so this is really, really, that's amazing. But this is really powerful. We are thinking outside of the box. We are on the leading edge. Many churches don't teach this. You're a victim. Or, Satan or the enemy is having you do it. In our communities, in our philosophy, we are responsible for what shows up, not in a hard-fisted way. This is an open-palmed idea. It's a conversation. How interesting. I create my reality. I have an impact on what happens in my life. It's not meant to be a bat over your head, bad person. You've created all of this stuff in your life, all of the trauma, all of the horribleness, bad. This is not what we do. This is a conversation with the divine. We stay awake. We stay in conversation with the universe. We stay empowered, loving ourselves gently through the process, but realizing that we have an impact on our lives. That's the underlying truth. So we reset our mental landscapes, and the life application is, as we step into this new chapter, examine the quality of your thoughts. Replace fear-based thinking with an affirmation of love, abundance, and possibility. A powerful affirmation for this season could be, I only think thoughts that uplift, empower, and align me with my highest good. I only think thoughts that uplift, empower, and align me with my highest good. In the midst of my adventure, I had a thought about 3 or 4 months ago, I must be cursed. I had a thought. I said, that's not conducive to good health, to healing. And I had to consciously say, you've done nothing wrong. Things happen to the body temple. I don't know. What was I thinking 6 months ago or 2 years ago? I couldn't tell you. But I knew that I could change my thought in that moment. This is how we apply this principle, the power of thought. The third principle is the law of attraction. The law of attraction, especially in social media, has gotten all this attention, and there are 3 million books, and it's kind of overstated and over talked about, but there is a reciprocal law in the universe. Whatever I give out returns to me multiplied. This is a universal principle, and that's what the law of attraction is at its core. And the scripture is, ask and it shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Matthew 7, verse 7. And I always like to say we use the Bible as a teaching tool, understanding that it is not literal, it is an allegory, it is a metaphysical dictionary that will help us to understand life. That's why I love to use scriptural verse, and Unity does as well. In this season of a new beginning, we are reminded of the law of attraction. What we focus on, we attract in our lives. September offers us a fresh slate to align our energy with the good that we seek to manifest. Be deliberate in your focus. Visualize and affirm what you desire. not what you fear. We live in a society that's putting a lot of attention on what we fear and the worst case scenarios. Let's be a beacon. Let's be a vortex of knowing, the consciousness for the best case scenarios. So let's affirm, I only attract that which serves my highest good. And we are constantly falling asleep and beginning again. Simply resume. My AA brothers and sisters always say, simply resume. Just begin again. 4, faith in the unseen. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Just as students return to the classroom, trusting in the process of education, even before seeing results, we too must trust in the unseen workings of spirit. September reminds us to walk by faith, knowing that the universe is always arranging our good. In our life application, in moments of uncertainty, affirm I walk by faith, not by sight. That has been my walk, my beloveds. Trust that even though you can't see the outcome, the divine is orchestrating everything in perfect divine order. Walk by faith and not by sight. 5, the power of gratitude. In everything, give thanks. The energy of gratitude opens the door for new divine blessings. As we enter this season of reflection and renewal, we're reminded to give thanks on the journey for the lessons and the growth. Gratitude elevates our consciousness. You can affirm something like, I give thanks for the infinite good unfolding in my life. Number 6, divine timing. It's coming when it comes and when it comes. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. So September brings with it the energy of divine timing, reminding us that life unfolds in its perfect rhythm. So as we return to practicing and knowing the basics of spiritual practice, we are reminded to trust in God's timing. Everything is unfolding in perfect order. We can know this when we accept the principle of divine timing. Unconditional love. Love one another, for love is of God. So love is the most basic and yet the most profound of the spiritual principles. It is through love that we heal, transform, and connect with the divine. So September is a time for returning. It calls us back to love because that is our true nature. We are created by the infinite love of the universe. So whatever challenges we are facing, what would love do in this situation? Allow love to be your guiding principle. And sometimes love is tough love. So also know that as spiritual beings having a human experience, sometimes we have to take the sacred sword of light, hold it up, and enact tough love with compassion. Know that truth also, my beloveds. Number 8, freedom is in forgiveness, and forgiveness is freedom. To forgive, you will be forgiven. September, aligned with the holy high holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, reminds us of the importance of forgiveness. Forgiveness is just not an act to the other, but a gift to ourselves. It frees us from the burdens of resentment and opens our hearts to grace. Reflect on those areas that you are holding that coal, like Gandhi reminds us, we're holding this coal burning off our own hand, thinking that we are hurting someone else when we are hurting ourselves. Drop the coal. I forgive, I release, I am free. Allow forgiveness to create space for new beginnings so you can attract more into your life. Number 9, prepare for the new. We're basically halfway through the year, more than halfway. Take, therefore, no thought for tomorrow. September calls us to be fully present, Like students fully engaged in their learning, we are reminded to focus on the here and now. The present moment is the only moment that exists. Life application. Cultivate mindfulness through meditation. Do not allow the thought of what is happening and bringing it back to the election, regardless of who you've chosen. It can bring up anxiety and fear. Be here now, beloveds. Know that God is in charge of the divine outcome ultimately, and we are actors in the play of life. Tune into the vibration of peace and be here now. Be here now. I'm fully present in this moment and all is well. Number 10, service to others. The greatest amongst you will be your servant. True greatness is found in service. September's energy of returning reminds us that we are here not only to grow for ourselves, but to be in service to each other, to our families, to our beloved friends, to the world. In giving, we align ourselves with the divine flow of life, and being vibrationally in alignment with the spiritual truths of the universe, remaining consciously awake with a third eye that is open, is also service to humanity. Do not ever doubt that your consciousness, are you serving the world by holding the highest vision for humanity? Or are you in disservice to the world by holding on to negative thoughts, the rhetoric, and the broadcast of ego mind? That is also your job. That is also service to humanity. My beloveds, if we'd like to just bend our heads down to our chest, putting the hands on the heart because we are always bending to the God mind within. This is our prayer together. I return to the basics of spiritual truth, knowing that in simplicity lies the power of transformation. I embrace this season of renewal, trusting that the divine is guiding our every step. We align ourselves with love, faith, and gratitude, and we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities of lives lived in harmony with spirit. Join me in saying, and so it is. And so it is. Amen.